All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting regarding our comprehensive plan workshop. Today is Monday, March 26th, and the time is now 5:35. I will now turn to the city clerk for roll call.
Mayor Shelton? Vice Mayor Turkin?
Present.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner Cruz?
Present.
Commissioner McCray? Vice Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Tammy. Our invocation tonight will be led by Reverend Emily Ash, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Amy Kelly. Let's all stand for the invocation.
Let's take a moment and quiet our hearts and listen for a minute to a greater spirit. Wonderful God, infuse us tonight with vision, creativity, and wisdom as we gather here to hear the various voices of many who have come to talk about the benefits and beauty and safety for a new way to see our city. We ask that you bring us wisdom and kindness and compassion as we seek to do good, as we seek to bring safety, as we seek to bring a new and better city. We ask all this in hope in this holy time in you, Lord, and all who could said, Amen. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Thank you both very much. We're now moving on to agenda approval, additions, deletions, and corrections. We will begin on my left with Commissioner Kelly. Do you have anything?
No, thank you. Vice
Commissioner
Mayor.
Cruz?
Oh, no, I'm good, thanks.
All right, perfect. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Kelly, motion second by Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of approving the agenda as is, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, perfect. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're now moving on to the presentation section. I'll ask staff to come up. Say again? City manager, if we could have someone from upstairs maybe print out the agenda. We are going to allow some public comment tonight, and so we're going to go through the presentation, and then we will allow for public audience.
Good evening, Amanda Radigan, Development Director for the city. Thank you all for being here today. This is quite a milestone in this process. Like you know, the overhaul of our comprehensive plan started last year. We have a consultant on board, Chen Moore and Associates, that has been working towards this project for about the past 8 months. And they're going to present today some of the current community needs, their findings, and we're going to be asking for some policy directions and anything else that you guys want to add at this point in the process before a final draft will be presented to the commission. I'd like to call up Nilsa today. She'll be doing the presentation of the comprehensive plan update, and I will always be available if there are any questions. It is quite a lot of material, so I think we are going to go through a couple of elements at a time, and then we can stop to take questions on those 2 elements, and then proceed like that for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Good afternoon. I am Nilsa Zacharias, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners. We are excited to be here conducting this workshop. And with me, this team, Mr. Osniel Leon, Principal Planner, Mr. Matt Veneziano, Associate Planner, and Suzanne Daubraski, Principal Engineer and Vice President. So, for some reason, the main goal of this workshop is to listen to each of you, to receive your feedback. As you see, we have a notepad there where we are going to take notes of your questions. This is a part of this process of updating the comprehensive plan. This is the workshop agenda. Like I said, the first point is what is a comprehensive plan? So we'll go through the Florida statutes. Why are we doing this, basically? Then the goals, and then we'll go element by element or chapters, and that's when we are going to take notes and listen your feedback. Also, we would like to confirm with each of you the planning priorities, feedbacks, and directions that we will receive from each of you. As I mentioned before, many times we receive this question, why are we doing this? Why do we need this comprehensive plan? Isn't the zoning code enough? And this is the answer. This comprehensive plan is required by Florida statutes. Every local government and counties and municipalities, they have to have a comprehensive plan. It's a mandate. Then includes a number of chapters or elements, and it provides a long-range blueprint for the city. Then this graphic shows that all this comprehensive plan needs to capture what is the values of the city and be in compliance with Florida statutes. And based on this is the strategic plan and obviously the operating budget. Once we have the comprehensive plan, the land development regulations or zoning code are based on this comprehensive plan. So the LDRs provide specific rules and standards. Most municipalities, commissioners, and city staff are very familiar with the LDRs. However, the comprehensive plan is your guiding document, is your vision for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Always the comprehensive plan looks at the big picture, your land use, your transportation, conservation. As we go through the chapters, we have a specific questions that we will receive your feedback. Part of this process is very important to listen to the community, and we have done a number of initiatives to reach out the community. For example, we put together this flyer that we distributed to many of the businesses, and then also, one second. So we also did a survey. That survey was distributed, and then we get some feedback also. We attended a number of events.
Excuse me, ma'am, one moment. IT, I'm hearing a little recall, or maybe is your phone near the microphone? I don't hear it now. All right, I'll just start talking again if we hear it.
It's okay.
Thank you. Continue.
Yes, part of this community outreach, we attended a number of community events. As a team, we believe that we need to go and meet the people where they are. For example, we attended September 5th here on the plaza. It was a great event, a lot of attendees. It was the disco at the plaza. And then we also attended the weekend of the Pirate Fest. And on those events, I'm sure you have seen this, we provided to many of the community members this little card that has a QR code that will take you to the survey. So the survey was done in English, Spanish, and Creole. So we, anybody who was walking by our kiosk or we encountered, so it was very well received. These are the results of the community survey. And we're just gonna highlight some of the main questions. For example, what are the biggest challenges facing the city? So between the options that they have, the top three was lack of retail option store, school system, and public transportation options. Those were the highest rank. Then what top 3 things do you want to see created in the city? Increased safety, beautification of the city, land conservation, and environmental. Also, another question was to maintain the quality of life in the city. What should be some of the main issues that the city should focus on the next 20 years? So, police, crime prevention, traffic management, and environmental protection. Over the next 20 years, how important are the actions that the city takes when addressing the needs for commercial land uses? Was focus on design features for site plan and building, regulate type variety of business, locally owned and national change, encourage mixed-use development patterns. This question, over the next 20 years, how important are the actions the city should take to address housing needs? Protect neighborhoods from degradation caused by aging, vacant, or abandoned properties. Promote housing for young families and entry-level professionals. Preserve community character in new developments. Based on this survey, I just want to comment this. When we draft the policies that we will go through for the different elements, we took into consideration this feedback. For example, we call this housing and neighborhood, and we are proposing policies for the neighborhoods to maintain quality of life. Over the next 20 years, how important are the actions the city should take regarding sustainability? Landscaping and trees, encourage additional plantings, water, quantity and quality, land management, mixed-use developments, purchase land for open space, outdoor recreation, tree canopy protection. What features could improve in your neighborhood? Access to open space, neighborhood park, tot lot, walking trails. Additional trees, sidewalks. So that was a summary of the surveys that we received. These are the chapters or elements that are included in your comprehensive plan. We are adding a new chapter, which is economic development. So if you go right now to your website and you want to see their comprehensive plan, the economic development is not there. That's a new chapter that we are proposing. So the first element, we talk about introduction element. That's where we talk in general about the location, the history, the socioeconomic analysis, and the overall the characteristics of the city. We have to take into consideration that part of the process, once the council, once the commissioners approve the first reading, this is going to be transmitted to the state and to several agencies. The state is the one that will be looking at this document. So the state needs to fully understand what is the character of Boynton Beach? What are the important values? So that's the reason that introduction chapter will set the tone of all the other chapters. With regard to the future land use element, so this is the chapter where we define the different land uses, commercial, mixed use, and the different important criteria. And why is this so important? Because your zoning, your LDRs, land development regulations, are based on this chapter, future land use. Many times people say, why do we have this zoning, or why is that? Well, let's just look at your comprehensive plan. It might be part of that there. So another important document is the future land use map. This is also part of your comprehensive plan. In many instances, there's need to be amended for specific reasons. So to amend your to this map, it also needs to be, obviously needs to be heard by the commission, but then also it depends of the acreage, it also needs to be transmitted to the state. Anything related to your comprehensive plan, the state has a lot to say. So I am not going to read these all, but obviously each of these future land uses has an acreage. And you can see here, residential is the primary land use, is 74.4% of your land use for the city. And also, we have here a chart that is showing the same. The residential is your highest percentage. Here are some of the key objectives that are, again, in this document. This is the policy document, and we just we are presenting on this slide some of them. You know, there are many objectives and policies. So, for example, objective 1.22, it talks about climate resiliency and sustainability. Objective 1.23 refers to urban tree canopy and partnership, such as, for example, how important is the tree canopy? So, and we are proposing, to expand and enhance the city's tree canopy, support climate resiliency. All of that is here in terms of objectives and policies. And this is a list of added policies. Once we get through the process, if after this workshop, there will be a LPA, and then there will be the first reading. When you receive this document, you will see a strike through and underline. So, and definitely all the underline is new. Everything that is underlined will be new, so you can see specifically what are the new. And here in this slide, we are just summarizing what are the new policies that we are proposing. To propose these policies, we have been working very, very close with city staff. In fact, we conduct weekly meetings. Once a week, we produce our draft, we send it to the city staff, they review it. So that's the reason we are now on this step to present to all of you. The housing chapter, housing element. Again, we are highlighting the housing issues, the challenges and recommendations, address housing supply, affordability, and definitely we are tying that with redevelopment and growth strategies. We are not rezoning any neighborhood. We are not approving any projects. We are only setting policies, guardrails. That's what is a comprehensive plan. It's a big blueprint, it's a
quick question.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we go back to the previous slide? With reference to rezoning the neighborhoods, does that include looking at the density per acre and identifying if we want to change that? Because from my understanding, years ago, this was an item I had brought up to look at density and height, and I know there was a lot of things I wanted to do at that time, but we were limited because of our comprehensive plan and LDRs, and we needed to change that plan. So I want to make sure that, I'm educated as far as what type of feedback we can give today to look at our density and as well as our height, because I know some of those things were limited as far as changing, and we only do this once in a while, so I want to make sure that we have that ability to do that.
I can say very clearly that this proposed comprehensive plan is not changing any height, any density. So this is not doing that. This document that I have right here in my hands, we are not proposing any changes in density and density.
When you say we are not proposing, you're saying as the consultant?
As a
you guys
consultant
aren't
working-
You
yes.
guys aren't recommending
Yes, we are
anything?
not proposing that at this time.
Okay, but ultimately, the commission adopts the comprehensive plan, and so we appreciate, I'll speak for myself, we appreciate whatever proposals and recommendations you may have. I think when you look at what we just saw in the community survey, that I don't even think housing was at the bottom of the list, and a focus on more green space, climate resiliency seemed to be a common trend there. And so, I'm not going to beat a very dead horse. I've been saying this for the last 4 years. This is, from my understanding, our opportunity to revisit that density, revisit the type of green space we want. And from my understanding, you're going to give your recommendations, but ultimately, it's the body's decision to then decide what we want to incorporate based on not just what our constituents discuss with us on a day-to-day basis, but also what we've seen in the resident survey.
I can help clarify a little bit. So yes, this element sets maximum densities for specific land use categories. It does not, however, change what is on the ground, meaning the application of those densities, of those policies to the land remains unchanged. Those require applications and quasi-judicial action and a whole slew of other things to implement them on the ground. What this does is set the policy of how much density is allowed in specific land use categories.
So in order to get to that next step where we operate with that legal framework and having those quasi-judicial meetings, those will be based on what we discuss here tonight, correct? I just want to make sure that, at least for
Trying to
me,
set up
that
the
I understand
framework.
before making decisions. So then later down the road, if we want to revisit density or height, I don't get
You should have done it
the
now.
notion that, well, you should have brought
Yeah.
it up at the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Because we got one shot at this. We've been discussing this for quite some time.
Yeah.
I brought this in, 4 years ago, and Commissioner Cruz had brought this up, and we're finally here. And, this did take some time, and I want to thank staff for getting here and the consultant. But it's my position that we look at this seriously and we make those decisions, whatever legal and you guys need to do to make sure that we instill what I believe is what, not just what we see in Boynton Beach, but the county and then also the state as a whole, that there is a notion of maybe we're developing way too fast. And I think we need to be mindful of that. And we don't want to, say like, oh, well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, understood. So what this will do, again, will set densities within certain categories. It won't impact what's on the ground. And also, there are different things you'd have to consider if you want to go higher in density or lower in density within the policy. Obviously, all of our zoning categories and land use categories, all of our land use categories are implemented and on the ground now. If we lower existing densities of existing properties.
But not future. Obviously, I know there's
Exactly.
a property rights legal
Exactly.
battle that we could look at and we could be litigated.
Yes,
I understand
exactly.
that. My focus is on future properties that, and entitlements. Some of that could be private, some of that could be publicly owned land. I just want to make sure that we're not skipping over
Absolutely.
that very important piece.
So what I would suggest possibly is the addition of policies that strengthening the character of neighborhoods, that strengthen limiting densities or limiting the expansion of existing land uses to further land. That way, we're not impacting what is on the ground or what is already entitled, but we're limiting its use beyond what is already on the ground. That's one option, and we could do that as a policy, and that would help inform how we move forward in the zoning code to limit the use of some of those categories. For example, if you're talking about mixed-use core. That is the highest dense category. We could put policies in there that should only be limited to downtown use within the core, within these blocks. We could put some guardrails as policy measures, but that wouldn't I don't want to set false expectations either. That doesn't change what's on the ground. It doesn't change what's entitled. It would inform how we move forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz.
Just wanted to make a comment about, and to follow up on those good points. Could we include rezoning as part of this document? Because
No,
even though we have, for example, high density in certain areas with Live Local that expands up to a 1 mile radius of anything that's commercially designated. So if we limit the amount of potentially future land use that is rezoned to commercial, like I think a lot of the times that we've had rezoning in the past, the feedback or the agenda item staff recommendations are based upon the comprehensive plan. So if the commission wanted to move in a different direction, is this the right time to talk about that and to say, we might not want to continue to rezone certain parcels to commercial because it could bring the danger of Live Local?
Your first question is, can we rezone as part of this process? The answer is no. That's a completely separate process. Could you, I think legal, I would say. I'll let
Not
them say
rezone,
it.
but to create a policy that says, if the commission desires to do that, that the commission desires to create a policy that we are not wanting to rezone,
Look, it's a difficult decision, because while I understand some of the things happening at the state level takes away and preempts some of our ability to plan the way we want to plan, at the same time, some of the most desired things you see in that survey and what we've heard from this commission is the expansion of commercial uses, the expansion of not just bringing residential in units, but bringing services and uses here. And if we prevent commercial investment through a policy, it becomes a double-edged sword. I understand the desire to help prevent against Live Local, but I'm not sure limiting the expansion of commercial is the way to do that.
sorry, before I forget. if I
Sure,
can say
go
last
ahead.
thing. Could we make it a requirement? Because sometimes when we rezone, and that happened in my district with with that project, the apartments by the
Shalimar?
Thank you. So the project was originally commercial, and this is before Live Local, but the commission before us changed the zoning to mixed use, which significantly enhanced the density of that project. So it went from being potentially a Walmart or just stores to being, almost 200 to 300 apartments. And there's nothing we could do about it because the commission had changed the zoning. If we make a policy of saying we are willing to rezone, but when we only and if only we have a plan in place so we know what it is that they're planning to do, like putting those together with a site plan approval or.
Yeah, so
that sort of
I think that level of detail would be appropriate in the land development regulation. So that is actually, I will tell you, we do have something like that. All of our mixed-use developments are required to come before you with a plan attached to it, except if the commission decides to rezone city-initiated. Then we don't require the plan to come with it, and that's what happened with Shalimar. So the city chose to do that ahead of private development. That's what happened with the mall, right? So the mall, we rezoned it as city-initiated ahead of the developer coming forward with a plan. But we can look at the LDRs to strengthen that tie and require concurrent applications to help protect.
Amanda.
I just
City
want to
Attorney.
point out, there is a new statute that came out in 24-25 that essentially states that if you make it more burdensome through your comprehensive plan, a person can take judicial action to enjoin the city from doing that.
Was that for Live Local? Was that specific to Live Local or no?
They did it under the guise of hurricanes to prevent certain redevelopment after hurricanes. But
That actually is part of our presentation today. We didn't want to start with that, but at the end of the presentation, we are going to talk about Senate Bill 180 and how it impacts what we're doing today and some possible ramifications when we transmit this to the state. So we'll be talking about that a little bit. And Sean, if you have anything to add at that point.
And what I was going to say is, if you want me to expand and do a memo on how that is hurting comprehensive plans and making these sweeping changes that you guys desire. And you could certainly do it, but there may be a judicial challenge to it. And so if you want me to do a memo on that, I will. Let me know after the presentation.
That would be great. Thank you, Shauna. Commissioner Kelly, do you have anything before we move forward?
Not on this, but I did want to add to the list, and it kind of goes along the same way. Back on the slide, they talked about the percentage of residential that we have in the city and the percentage of commercial that we have. I was just kind of curious, or to have a discussion about, are we on track with those percentages? Do we have too much residential, not enough commercial? Or where are we fitting in what, what we have versus what we ideally would want or need to have in order to really have a city that meets residential needs, meets commercial needs, meets, green space needs, meets the needs, because ultimately, I know that's been, my goal is that really we want the city to be a place where you live, work, and play. That's kind of been our mantra. So I'm curious when we look at those percentages, where we fall in it. Might be later on in the presentation, but I didn't want to lose track of that question because I really was curious where we fall as far as, how those percentages line up and what would be the recommendation on our focus.
Yeah, part of that is some of the feedback we'd like to receive from you all today. Obviously, 75% just about of our city is currently residential. We have been recently expanding mixed use and commercial components to help serve the large residential population that we do have. You will find cities that are 100 or 99% residential. You will find cities that are mostly the opposite. So that really is part of the vision of the city. We've always wanted, at least historically, wanted to be someplace people can enjoy life, live here well, be safe, work here and shop here, and that's what we're aiming to. I think we are on track. Our mixed-use districts have been expanding primarily due to Live Local and their expansions. It was always intended to be just a downtown. So these numbers are reflective of what's currently zoned, but not necessarily possible changes. It's also a little bit skewed because now we have some commercially zoned areas that are mixed use. Mm-hmm. So there are some nuances to this that obviously as a planning professional we were not expecting with some of these newer preemptions.
And I'm sorry, did you have anything else? And I think that is a great point, is that there's been a little bit of a wrench thrown into our mechanism here, to where it's my belief that we need to make up for that elsewhere, right? If we're having commercial space that is being utilized for, multifamily, and because of Live Local, and so it's my opinion that we need to take that into consideration to maybe and expand that, and then also looking at, I think it was like 2% of green space is where we're at currently. Do we set the policy? It might have been 3. I could have gotten that wrong. Somewhat low. Is it 5?
And that's actually recreation. So it's a little bit different than just open space. This is zoned recreation space.
Okay. Okay. But this is the time to set that policy. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, expansion of recreation spaces or acquisition of those types of spaces, all of those types of overarching policies, this would be the appropriate time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
This is an overview of the housing, the existing housing, total housing units. The different type of housings. Definitely the city of Boynton Beach has a diversity of housing supply. And there is a number, again, of goals and policies, such as even to further expand the diverse housing option. Basically, we are including objectives that said, yes, the city have a number of diverse housing, but it would be considering to even propose more diverse housing options. With regard to neighborhoods, we are proposing a number of new policies that talks about protecting the neighborhoods, encouragement, reinvestment, and revitalization, support inclusive community engagement. So we also are proposing a new objective with regard to the neighborhoods. So establish a citywide neighborhood planning program, but we are proposing by that year. So basically, the thing is, as we were working on this comp plan, it was very evident that Boynton Beach is a city of neighborhoods. People love, well, look at, it's 75% is residential, so people love their neighborhoods. That's the reason, I mean, people have choices to buy or to live in any other place, but they decide here because the quality of life that the neighborhoods have. And we want to tap into that and even promote further, support further, embrace your neighborhood programs and how to improve it. So, and that also will be linked to with the open space, trails, all of that we're gonna propose. We're gonna talk about it when we get to recreation and open space. For example, here we are proposing implement neighborhood level improvements, lighting, walkability, traffic calming. All of those elements contribute to the quality of life. Now we are moving forward with the transportation chapter, transportation element.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll pick up for the next few chapters. The next one will be transportation mobility element, which plays a critical role in the quality of life of residents of the city and visitors. This element addresses existing transportation conditions, guides improvements and funding to identify road, transit, and trail projects. It sets a level of service standards. Also coordinates land use and mobility to ensure growth patterns, support efficient travel, and promote multimodal options. This is the existing functional road classification of the city map. These are some of the public transit networks that the city currently has. We have the Palm Tran, Coastal Cruiser, Tri-Rail. Some of the complete streets in Boynton already implemented. Some of the pictures. This is the hurricane evacuation road network currently in the city, and also list some of the vulnerabilities of these road networks. And some of the updated objectives and policies that we have updated or expanded on. First one will be expand and improve pedestrian and bicycle networks, align with complete streets and mobility plan corridors, enhance safety for all users, improve accessibility and connectivity. Also support multimodal transportation options. Establish an annual mobility report to track development fees and project delivery. Maintain a rolling 5-year list of prioritize multimodal transportation improvements. Align projects with the city, FDOT, and MPO plans. Increase public transit use and reduce reliance on single occupancy vehicles. Also track progress through ongoing mobility reporting. We have also added to maintain.
Can I ask one quick
Sure.
question? So a lot of our roads, and I'm assuming it's just an oversight, but where it says align projects with city, FDOT, and MPO, we also have a lot of county roads, specifically on the west side of the city. And so if we could incorporate that in this as well, because, and obviously the county is working on their, their master transportation plan moving forward as well. So I want to make sure that we include the county in anything that we're talking about.
Yes, noted. Thank you. We also have maintaining a GIS-based inventory of pedestrian and bicycle facilities, update the data to support planning and decision-making, identify gaps and safety issues in the bike pedestrian networks, improvements based on need and risk, and apply the Vision Zero principles to improve roadway safety, emphasize the quality of service standards. So those are some of the updated policies and elements of the transportation element. If you guys want to have any comments on that or expand, we'll make notes on that as well. I would like to,
Give me one moment. I see the deputy city manager who's wanting to
One
speak.
question I had on the transportation mobility element, was there any thought put into it about transportation on the waterways there? I didn't see anything that, or is there somewhere else in another objective that would promote like water taxis and things like that that are along the intercoastal waterways or some of our canals?
was included in the,
'Cause we had some blueways and greenways master plan as well, so.
Right, we will add it in there that it was an oversight. One of the exercises that the consultants and we went through is we reviewed the mobility plan, which is commission approved, and trying to integrate everything that plan is looking towards into the comprehensive plan. So we will make sure to add some blueways and waterway networks.
thank you for that.
Perfect, thank you.
So the next element that we will go over is the utilities element. This manages the public facilities services essential to the growth and quality of life. Within the utilities element, it has a series of sub-elements where you find the sanitary sewer, potable water, stormwater, solid waste, and groundwater recharge. This element ensures a coordinated planning and regional agencies and sustainability goals. Also supports resiliency, water conservation, and infrastructural investments. Within the sanitary sewer system, these are the existing level of services that the city has. It's partnered with the South Central Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant. It has a level of service of 100 gallons per capita per day, 167 lift stations, 390 miles of pipelines. Within the solid waste management, level of service is 7.7 or 8 pounds per capita per day, recycling at 22%, goal to exceed 25%. Programs emphasizing reduction, reuse, and education. Within the stormwater management, sub-elements includes major outfalls, canals, culverts, pumps. The level of service is a 25-year, 3-day storm protection standard. And also partners with the South Florida Water Management District, Lake Worth Drainage District, and FDOT. Resealing upgrades, tile valves, pump maintenance of one of the goals. For the potable water system, the two treatment plants, level of service 154 gallons per capita per day. One of the goals is expanding reclaimed water and conservation measures, also to reduce potable water demand. And lastly, the groundwater recharge well field protection relies on the superficial and floated aquifers. Within the CUP permit allows for a 20 million gallons per day allocation. Well field protection and monitoring of programs, the reuse projects to reduce withdrawal. These are some of the updated policies that we have included. For the water supply, we included to implement water supply facilities work plan through the planning horizon. Diversify water resources to reduce groundwater dependence. Improve infrastructure efficiency. Within the objective of growth management, we added to discourage urban sprawl and support compact development. Limit extension and utilities beyond planned service areas. Also ensure consistency with future land use and service standards. Evaluate need for sanitary sewer service for large developments. Plan for capacity, infrastructure, and future demand. Identify wastewater facility capacity and connection in connection with needs. Establish timelines for sewer system improvements. Also improve system efficiency to reduce excess flows. So those are the policies and goals that we have included or updated within the utilities elements. The next element is the capital improvement chapter. This element assesses the city's public facility deficiencies, the City of Boynton Beach 5-year capital improvement schedule, the funding sources per fiscal year, level of service standards for the city public facilities, also a summary of major capital projects and facilities. The highlighted objectives for these elements is to invest in infrastructure to address deficiencies, replace aging and obsolete public facilities, maintaining financially feasible capital improvements program, require fair share contributions from developers, infrastructure improvements. This also includes essential public facilities, support public health, safety, and quality of life, require development to contribute fairly to infrastructure costs, utilize a range of funding tools, for example, fees, assessments, and dedications. And so that if you have any questions on those previous elements, any input, we'll be happy to take notes.
Not a question, thank you. Not a question, but really just a quick comment. Back to, let's not go back yet, but back to where we talked about transportation and we talked about, not collaborating, but adjoining plans with the MPO, FDOT, and things of that nature. I think one thing we could probably add is to collaborate in a way that doesn't create duplicity. And I can give a specific example of that right now. Actually, no, because it's not on the agenda. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say, like, maybe add the words, collaborate to reduce duplicity, because sometimes the MPO might have plans that we might be spending, $500,000 on, where we could just maybe spend $50,000 to just update that and utilize what's already there,
Okay.
and saving taxpayer dollars at the same time.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Kelly, do you have anything on mobility or utility? As for me, I echo the sentiment that the deputy city manager had mentioned as far as, potential water mobility. We're starting to see that a lot more around our coastal cities. In addition, I think looking at what we're doing with our waterfront, I know there's been a lot of dialogue and discussion. So I just want to confirm that this would be an appropriate time through these workshops to look at that as well. I'm getting a head
Yes.
nod from Ian. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, no, this is perfectly fine. We'll go back and include, if necessary, the waterways mobility. Definitely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Our next element is the conservation element. The core component of the city's comp plan focuses on natural resources management, air, water quality, wetlands, uplands, and native habitats, water conservation and reuse, flood and soil management. These are the current conservation goals of the element, is to, again, maintain air and water quality, protect groundwater and well fields, reduce stormwater pollutants, eliminate ocean wastewater discharge, preserve native ecosystem and wildlife, encourage water and energy conservation, minimize flooding and erosion. Some of the updated goals we have implemented is to protect and restore natural and resources, including air, water, and ecosystems, enhance the environmental quality and community resilience, promote long-term sustainability and livability, plan for environmental needs through 2035 and 2050, protect and maintain groundwater quality and supply, safeguard key aquifers and wellfield protection areas, plan for sea level rise, flooding, extreme weather, expand on the tree canopy and vegetation cover, reduce urban heat and improve air quality, promote multimodal transportation and EV infrastructure, reduce vehicle emissions and idling, maintain and update wellfield protection standards, ensure consistency with state and regional regulations, expand the use of reclaim and alternative water sources, protect wetlands and minimize environmental impacts, ensure compliance with state and federal regulations, also protect manatee habitat through coordinated management strategies. Promote water efficiency through high-efficiency fixtures and landscaping standards. Integrate sea level rise and flooding projections into infrastructure planning. Strengthen long-term resilience strategies. Coordinate with regional agencies on climate data and resilience. Also utilize the latest climate science and vulnerability assessments and to reduce the heat and improve comfort of public and private spaces. No other questions? The next one will be the recreation and open space element.
Real quick before moving forward, just a quick thought. I had talked to someone today, a vendor for I think they do like living seawalls. It seems to be a new concept, seems to be something that has been pretty successful down in Dade County. So I don't know if that's something we want to incorporate as well. They also do artificial reefs and a lot of other things that are multi-purpose as far as sustainability goes, repairing, ecosystems. I'm thinking of like like fishing industry, right? And things like that. But they also help with sea level rise, all sorts of things. And so I don't know if that's something that we can include into this, because I think we're seeing a lot of that, and I just want to make sure that we're not just we're having foresight for some of this innovative solution
Absolutely.
to sea level rise and
we can write in policies that say, like, promote the use of sustainable and alternative methods to sustain ecosystems, and we could figure out some language that can incorporate some of those things into it. What I think we'll do, because I'm sensing a theme, and this is something that we're working on in the LDR right now, I think we'll do a review of all the elements and see where we can strengthen water and marine industry uses, transportation, conservation, throughout the whole element. So if we could note that, and we'll do that comprehensively.
yeah, if everyone agrees, I think that's actually a great way, incorporate that all.
Looking at through that lens specifically, I think it might come up with some new policies.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it in our different hats, and, in the CRA and really prioritizing the marina and the overlay and talking about that and really hyper-focusing on that for the sustainability purposes, because, we don't have the wetland, we don't have the freshwater like they do further out west, so we really have to focus on what we do have and what we can do to sustain what we do have access to, I guess, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So the next element is the recreation and open space chapter. This is we have classification and inventory of parks and recreation facilities. It says the level of service analysis for parks and open space throughout the city, the commitment to greenways, blueways, and preserving natural areas, and also the future parks. Just for context, the neighborhood parks is the walk-to park, generally located along streets where people can walk or bicycle without encountering heavy traffic. Then you have your community parks. These are the community where it's right to. These are parks located near major streets or arterials. It is designed to serve the community residents within a radius of up to 3 miles. There's multimodal access to it, the community parks, and it's strongly encouraged. Also, the multimodal access can be enhanced by bike path and pedestrian walkways. This is the existing recreation and open space map in the city. It shows all the existing parks.
Real quick, there was something I saw earlier on the presentation about looking at like the reuse of parks instead of land acquisition for maybe some parks that aren't being utilized to the best capacity. I just want to share my support for that, because Andrew and I have had a lot of discussion around some parks that we could probably utilize for other initiatives that this board may see fit. And so that's something that I definitely want to highlight. I don't want to have parks that are utilized for, undesirable behavior or activity. And if we can't enhance them, then look at alternative uses, whether that is housing, whether that is commercial space, whatever the case may be. I do think that is a great policy to have that I saw earlier. So I just want to highlight that and put a couple red exclamation marks next to it.
Can we get some clarification on what you mean by that? If I'm understanding correctly.
So the example I'll give is like J.C. Park, right? Like it was just an open space, and then we enhanced that into like a dog park, redeveloping the bocce ball courts. And then, there's some other parks. There's one specifically, and I forget the name of it. I did a ride along there with the police department, and unfortunately, there was an abundance of drug use there. Say again? Palmetto Greens.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm not saying is like just, put housing and not have any green space. What I'm saying is maybe there's a way to get creative as far as adding additional use there that'll help activate that space, whether it is a portion of housing or commercial or something else, because we already have the land. And so I think that opens up a better avenue for public-private partnerships is.
What about some language like maximize public amenities or public usability?
Perfect.
So ways to integrate uses to bring activity to the parks.
Perfect.
I do want to express my strong opposition to creating any housing at any parks, although I respect what you're saying, and obviously not wanting to have crime and, those types of activities in park areas. I think that, just looking at this map right now, I think it's up in the screen as well. We have very little park space in our city. And I don't really know, or I can't recall at this time what the goal is for us to have with regard to park space. But it's in my opinion, it's not enough. And I would not want to see any sort of building of housing can we go back?
This was just showing you the acreage. I wanted to show you what the
I don't
acreage
want to
was.
misconstrue my message.
Just
So
wanna
the
make sure I
policy I
understand
was referencing was like, it said instead of land acquisition, like utilize that space first. So instead of paying millions of dollars for land, we already have the land. And if there is an opportunity, great, because maybe there is an opportunity there, but then there's an opportunity to, purchase more parkland that is adjacent to an additional park. We've seen that come up. So, maybe what I'm looking for is like maximize the efficiency or optimizing those spaces to try to avoid acquisition for that, if that makes sense.
Right, why go and buy land for a purpose if we have it available and it's not being utilized? For instance, there's probably 3 parks I know of that we have that they're not being used for what the intent is. And obviously, if we are able to activate it, and whether that be we need to expand it a little bit because we need some land around it or whatever in order to have the space to activate it, I think we need to consider what that looks like, who knows? What that looks like to us right now may be different than what another commission, thinks in 5 or 6 years, but we're setting this comprehensive plan to give people the ability to, to utilize that as opposed to just going out and saying, oh, well, we can go pay $10 million for this land that we're just gonna, we can't afford to build it out into a park yet, but let's spend the money to then turn it basically into, a green area where they run dirt bikes all day long. So to utilize the space that we have before we go and spend taxpayer money to acquire land that we maybe already have access to. Is that what you were saying?
I'll just also add that
Can we
several.
cap the amount? Because my concern is if we open this can of worms and we say, we might be using the word activate, but that could have, what, can we define activate? What does activate mean with regard to parks?
I think I think Amanda had mentioned like activating the public utilization was what she said.
What I wrote down was maximize amenities and access.
Perfect.
And what do
Public
we mean by
access.
that? Like adding buildings to parks, like?
Possibly, if it gets it utilized. So it's actually, there's like a shift in Parks and Rec now, and that's actually one of the more innovative ways to think of parks, especially in a redeveloping or built-out area. We right now, and this is something that your Parks and Rec master plan that was adopted a few years ago already contemplated. The land is what the land is. We don't own more land, and the way we're measuring level of surface right now is literally people to land. At some point, we will not be able to meet a land, we are fine with our level of service as it is right now. We are above it, we are exceeding it, but at some point, there won't be more land to acquire. So cities are shifting to a quality of parks instead of just a number of acreage. So how many amenities you have in your parks? Like, what are you doing to attract people? How many people is it serving? Instead of, yes, I have an acre, but it's undeveloped and it's counting towards my park level of service. So it's actually a shift, I think, that's going through Parks and Rec and planning comprehensive plans right now. I know Delray's plan contemplated it, our plan did contemplate it. And we are figuring out how to work it into the comprehensive plan now.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's sentiment, but I think that parks should stay parks. I think that green space should stay green space. We have such limited amount, again, looking at this map. The lighter green is our parks, and the amount of land we have, it's just, I don't believe we have enough parks. I don't believe we have enough green space as is, and creating any sort of building inside of our parks, I'm not in favor of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Please proceed.
Thank you. So this table shows the total acreage of parks, combining all of the existing parks within the city. And also, this is the level of service analysis by in 2020, there was a 84-acre surplus of parks. And by 2045, we project to the city to have about 37 acres. Some of the updated goals and policies for this element, we included to create an interconnected system of parks, greenways, and open spaces to ensure accessibility, safety, and resiliency, enhance the quality of life for residents and visitors, support future population growth through 2050, and also protect natural resources through parks and open space planning. For objective 5.2, access to parks, we included to improve multimodal access to parks, recreation and waterfront areas, enhance the connectivity for pedestrian, bicyclists, and vehicles, ensure equitable access across the community. For objective 5.3, this is the facilities as standards for parks, plan for park and recreation needs based on population growth, maintain the level of service standards for facilities, ensure parks and recreation improvements keep pace with development. We provided, yes.
Okay, and just thinking about the future, and if we were to have this discussion in the future, if it turns out that there's consensus to activate parks in a certain way, I would like for it to be a cap of what percentage of our parks can be built on or modified in a way that's not, mostly green space or activities or things of that nature. So maybe considering if the commission wants to move in that direction, then maybe capping the percentage of our parks that we would be able to move in that direction with.
Well, but we approve any plans for development or changes to our parks. So when we approve a plan, we're approving what's being put in there. So I think we do that by nature of our position. But I did have on the map, Amanda, I noticed that because they're not truly named parks, we don't recognize some of our green space in District 4, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention because we do have about 9 acres in off of Lawrence back behind the Meadows. It's not marked on here, but it's our little, like our Meadows Park, and it also backs up to Nautica Sound. It's just green space, but it's ours. And we've
It's the cities?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll double check this
Yeah,
map
it's
then.
deed restricted,
Thank you.
and we did, that's back
You're
on the
looking for a
backside of the
designation?
meadows, and it's, well, yeah, we
Yeah.
did that, the deed restriction a while back on the meadows side, but, I mean, so we do have other green space that is just
Yes,
green
there's
space and
actually
trees.
We have one in Leisureville.
Yes, that we did a deed restriction to. We can look to showing those in some way. They might have different zoning, might not be why they're represented or something here.
But for example,
I'll
for
check.
that piece, like, my constituents are gung-ho about, like, absolutely, we want nothing there. We want to make sure that.
Yes,
it
and a
stays as
deed
passive green
restriction
space,
And
that's
that's
would
why
why
it's-
still
we did the
remain
deed
in place,
restriction.
yeah.
Yeah,
A deed restriction
perfect.
would still remain in place.
Could be because they're part of the PUD that it didn't come up.
Exactly, so
Right.
if it's zoned PUD, it might not
Right.
show up here, but it is still a good idea for us to show them on here. We could show them a little bit differently.
It's called the Meadows Park?
It's Meadows and Nautica, there's like,
It's not-
It's
it's like 9 acres on
Okay, all right.
the
Yeah,
backside.
we'll
yeah.
go through and identify some of those that aren't designated.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner
Great,
Kelly.
thank you. Green space, we can,
This, but I believe I went through this last set of policies to provide diverse range of recreation programs for all age groups and abilities, monitor and adapt programs to meet community needs, maintain a GIS-based inventory of parks, facilities, and amenities, implement parks and recreation master plan projects, and update regularly, identify and acquire land to expand parks and open space. Our next element is the coastal management. In this chapter, coastal management looks at infrastructure and natural resource analysis, the analysis of disaster planning issues and hazard reduction, the sea level rise impact projections for publicly financed construction. Also looks at the Resilient Florida statute, the National Flood Insurance Program, Community Rating System. This is the existing evacuation routes and zones map. The facilities providing water access. Water and sewer systems in the city. These are some of the goals that we have incorporated to protect public safety and reduce risks from coastal hazards. Limit, yes.
Yeah, so I just want to go ahead and get this out there now. I know that we don't have like the jurisdictional authority there, but I think this is going to be probably something that'll come down in the future that'll be multi-jurisdictional is it's not even identified as a navigable inlet, but the Boynton Inlet over there with that bridge, and looking at that and partnering with our neighboring municipalities, I think find Army Corps of Engineers and what other bureaucratic agency there is that oversees, the canals and the inlets, but advocating for that to be an unfixed bridge, I think is a huge opportunity, not just for marine tourism, but also looking at property values, what that would do for the city of Boynton Beach, and also the CRA as well, because we have a lot of those waterfront properties along the water that are in the CRA, and not just the unfixed portion, but also, maybe it's widened, maybe it's just dredged and there's a bridge. Andrew, you would know better than me on what that looks like and what to really advocate for, but I think that is extremely important because there has been discussions, I believe, with other municipalities that are advocating for this. So, squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I want to make sure that, we try to be as squeaky as possible.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Vice Mayor, because that was something I was going to ask, because we have had discussions on, how do we look at, widening that, because it's supposed to be not navigable, but they use it, and what we can do to enhance it and make it more usable and more safe, because a lot of our ocean rescue, is due to that inlet and it being very difficult to traverse. So I'm glad you brought that up. I support adding that in here, is having that, having that be a goal of ours, that we look at what our options are to enhance that with our neighbors. So,
There's
thank
also
you.
some environmental benefits to widening and doing that, as well as water quality and scour within the intercoastal area. Yes.
Yeah, that's very good. I think this went ahead and from your slides. Okay, so I think this is where we left off. So these are evacuation routes and zones map. So these are some of the maps that are included in the coastal management element, and it provides all of this information in your comp plan. We have your water and sewer systems. So I was saying these are the goals we have included. So limit public investment in high-risk areas, preserve coastal, marine, and estuary resources, support resilient redevelopment patterns, enhance public access. It keeps going forward. Strengthen long-term coastal resilience through 2050. Objective 7.3, beaches and dunes, protect, manage, and enhance beach and dune systems, minimize impacts from man-made structures, coordinate with federal, state, and regional partners. Objective 7.6, coastal resilience, assess and reduce risk from coastal flooding and hazards, address sea level rise, storm surge, high tide events, and promote resilient redevelopment and engineering solutions. Also to require coastal development to reduce flood risk and sea level rise impacts, pursue funding for infrastructure and engineering solutions to reduce coastal flooding, ensure water resource regulations align with regional permitting standards, integrate climate action plan into the comp plan. And that was the last for that element. Any other question, inputs?
Nope, I see the next section is intergovernmental coordination, so I'll just highlight the bridge again on that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I was actually taking notes. I said that will be my opening to the next element. Why it's so important to have these agreements, coordinations with different agencies. When you receive the overall package, you will see that this element has two specific sections. The first section is that we do like an inventory of all the different agencies that the city has right now, agreements. For example, South Florida Watermanagement District, the county, obviously, there is a number of agencies, MPO, FDOT, all those agencies are critical to the function of the city, to providing quality of service for residents and business partners. And then the second section, we analyze what exactly is the relationship with these different agencies. To your point, Vice Mayor, I mean, for example, Army Corps of Engineers, that's definitely is very important and needs to be part of this. So there are state regulations, and there is also a number of agreements, and they are all covered under this chapter, which is intergovernmental coordination. We added updated policies that coordinate regional and local agencies on the comprehensive plan, support intergov coordination and conflict resolution, participate on regional transportation, like the MPO, and definitely have an overlook of all the different agencies. And how the main point is this: how can these different agencies benefit the city? Those type of agreements, it's like it's so critical to actually use the resources that are provided in the county level, definitely on the regional level and state level. So this is the chapter where we focus on to that different type of relationships. This is the new element or chapter that we are proposing, that we are adding to the comprehensive plan right now. There's not such an element, economic development. Why is this important? Because adds to the quality of life, adds to the business partnerships. So it says that how important is economic growth, economic development to the city of Boynton Beach. And also it can support you to apply for grants based on this new chapter or element. So we are basically, this element focus on that creating conditions for a prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable economy. For example, when we are saying we're gonna, to the previous comments, that we will propose a policy that welcomes the use of alternative materials, so this is talking about economic development. So integrate with city's economic development strategic plan, which is very important. Focus on innovation, inclusivity, and quality of life. At the end of the day, the residents and the business partners, they all will benefit of having a growth in economic development. So this chapter focuses on that. We also include an overall the existing employment and business based work. So these are the current percentages. Yes.
I just want to take a better look at that.
The education and healthcare is 23%. Then retail trade, 18%. Professional and business services, 15%. So entertainment, hospitality, food service, 13%. And construction, 11%. And manufacturing, 7%.
Thank you.
So we are also, like I said, we have been working with city staff very closely. They provided us their input with regard to challenges and opportunities. Again, housing affordability is always a challenge when you are planning to attract major businesses. You know, so it's always the question. We can establish our office, but where are our employees will actually be able to buy a home? So housing affordability, workforce alignment, infrastructure needs, climate resiliency. Each of them are part of the challenge that faces when we talk about economic growth, economic development. The opportunities, it's always both sides of the coin. So the city of Boynton Beach definitely had a number of opportunities of potential, such as the expand the workforce training, invest digital and mobility systems, infill housing and mixed-use income redevelopment. And that's important because the city is currently focusing on mixed-use development. So that is very, basically employers, they look at that as a very positive attraction to basically set their business in the city. So all of the goals, all the objectives are new. So when you receive the document, it will be all underlined because they are completely new. So goal is to promote diversified and resilient local economy, support job creation and private investment, strengthen the city commercial tax base, maintain community character and quality of life, and definitely plan for a long-term economic sustainability through to 2045, 2050. And we also added a number of objectives. Working very close with city staff, we believe that this is a very important element because it will basically provide a basis to attract very high top businesses to establish in this city and also support the local businesses that are already here.
I know we just talked about working with our intergovernmental agencies, and now we're talking about working on our workforce. It kind of works together. Palm Beach County has a free program called the Family Self-Sufficiency, that if you qualify with a certain income, you're able to get vocational training for free. And I think maybe we can not just partner with local institutions, but also with the county and other nonprofit agencies that kind of work on those endeavors.
That's a great input. We are taking notes. We are going to add that to the comprehensive plan. Thank you. Thank you. So this is also an existing element. Is private property rights. The city adopted this into their comprehensive plan and just basically focus on private property. So protect constitutional recognized private property rights, consider property rights, affirm rights to own, use, and improve property. So protecting rights to privacy and exclude others, allow property owners to transfer. So these are already part of your comprehensive plan. They are. And finally, let's talk about the challenges that we are facing with this comprehensive plan. And at the beginning, there was already a question with regard to Senate Bill 180. So this is, Senate Bill 180 was adopted last year, applies to local governments in counties under federal disaster declaration, effective retroactive August 1, 2024. And it's effective through, through October 1, 2027. There was a lot of discussion, conversation about Senate Bill 180 because it's restrictive. So there is a specific language in this bill that says prohibit adoption of more restricted or burdensome policies, objectives. So, and that is including comprehensive plans, the land development regulations, permitting or development review process, also applies regardless of whether changes are related to storm damage. The intent of this bill started with for storm damaged areas, but then now it has been really cumbersome, and a number of local governments, including counties, basically they are suing the state because of this bill. So obviously, you've seen that we are recommending many important policies, important objectives. They are important to the quality of life of the city of Boynton Beach. For example, resilient standards, environmental protection, floodplain. So the truth is, this is the moment of truth, all of this is uncertain. And because many of the comprehensive plans that have been transmitted recently to the state, they've been challenged. That they've been challenged because they are perceived as more cumbersome and more basically restrictive and burdensome. Those are the key words that are included on that bill. So the risk is that policy improvement could be legally challenged or invalidated.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I just started to think of questions. I guess the question might be for legal. Do we know, is there any way for us to find out like how many municipalities or counties are suing the state?
There was a class action lawsuit that is currently ongoing, and my research into the class action lawsuit, I actually spoke to the lawyer, and we were at 15, Amanda?
Yeah, my memory is telling me 16 so far.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you the specifics on it. I don't know. They were still open for additional municipalities who wanted to join. So I can get you that updated information if you're interested.
I mean, just an
I would say-
anecdotal note, so we recently did a comprehensive plan amendment that added the in lieu of option for conservation. It was the only thing that we transmitted to the state, and we actually got a call from the state saying, this may be more burdensome, we don't think you could do it. And it was one policy that was adding an option, right? So we, after conversations with them, they agreed to approve it without comments. You'll be seeing that again soon. We did get that approved, but that was just one policy. We have several examples where people were transmitting comp plan updates, and the response back was not even comments, was simply, you may be in violation of this bill, and it's just returned. There were 2 bills that were going through the legislator, but neither one of them made it through to help correct some of this.
Well, hopefully next year they'll have more priorities on actually things that make a difference instead of renaming streets and doing.
Yes, that doesn't mean we can't transmit it and see what we
Things.
get back. It does have an expiration date of October 27. So we're just in a little bit of limbo with what could happen with the next few steps.
What, Amanda, I guess, and maybe, what are the recommendations, I mean, around this? Do we establish as it is, knowing that this law is out there, and then if anything changes in a year, or if we can modify or restrict, then we amend? Is that kind of the recommendation, the plan?
Yeah, I would be of the opinion that we are not doing anything that is more cumbersome or burdensome. I mean, we are strengthening some policies, we're trying to strengthen some things, but cumbersome or burdensome to development, I would argue we are not doing that. I don't know that they would agree. I think they have very little guidance from the state, the same way we're trying to deal with Live Local at a city level. I think the state is kind of going through that same process with this bill. So everyone's been a little bit hands-off with pointed feedback. The worst case, hopefully, there's no amendments to this bill that extend the expiration, but there is an expiration date. If it doesn't get passed the first time, we could always try again once it expired with minimal updates if needed. The good thing is that a lot of these policies, again, we're planning for 2050, so they will still be valid in a year.
Okay.
And the other thing to add to Amanda is that when we transmit, we don't only transmit to the state. We send it to South Florida Water Management District. We send it to FDOT. So the truth is, it will be interesting to see if those agencies have specific comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be curious to see what FDOT, if there are specific comments, since Boynton Beach is at their forefront for we're on the next 5 years of upgrades, for FDOT. So I would be curious to see what their, if there are any comments back, what FDOT's comments are.
So there's still value in transmitting, even if they come back with no feedback from the state per se.
Great.
With regard to the process, as this slide shows, we have done actually one workshop, was a public workshop in October 2025. Then a second public workshop was November 13, 2025, and this is the City Commission workshop today. And then basically the next step is we are taking notes of your comments. We will update the policy, we will update the document, and then it will be, the next step will be to be heard by the LPA, Local Planning Agency, and then the transmittal will come back with an ordinance to the commission, and then we need to transmit it to the state.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you, Amanda and staff. I guess next, from my colleagues, Commissioner Kelly.
I was just going to ask, how far in advance of the public hearing will we see the next presentation? And my concern is, obviously, we had a commissioner that was just sworn in on Monday, and so he is not here, unfortunately. And then the mayor, unfortunately, had a last-minute emergency, and so she is not here. And so they are key to this, and so I want to make sure that whether or not they have a Teams meeting with you to review the presentation and know what has been provided, but also, I don't want to come into the public hearing having just gotten a 104, if not more pages, once you add everything that we discussed tonight, to, a week before the public hearing to discuss it. So I just wanted to know timeline, what that looks like.
Yes, that's a great question. So Nielsen and I were already coordinating. We are planning to offer one-on-one meetings with both Commissioner McCray and Mayor Shelton, so we can go through the presentation with her and get their feedback also. After that, obviously, we are working on a draft right now. We will input all of the recommendations we received here today. Once we have a draft, the process can be up to you. We can give you a draft about a month ahead of schedule, as soon as we have it, and schedule out a month. The tricky part is, we would need everyone together to take revisions to that document. So if you think 3 to 4 weeks is enough, we can meet, we can do another workshop, we can meet for a discussion item on the draft you guys received and then bring it for a formal public workshop. We can do this any way the commission feels comfortable with.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, it's my position, and thank you for covering that, Commissioner Kelly. I would be in favor of doing another one of these, maybe not as extensive after staff gets that one-on-one time with both Commissioner McCray and Mayor Shelton. And just as important, we're going to hear some public comment tonight, so I want to make sure we don't miss anything from the audience. I know we've done a couple workshops already, so I'm happy that you guys were able to do that as well. But, this is an extremely important initiative, and so I want to make sure that we do this well and strategic.
Absolutely.
One suggestion, and I don't know how feasible this is, but, as we see, these workshops are not as attended as even our commission meetings. And so I'm wondering if maybe as we're looking at when to schedule it, maybe as opposed to, because I don't think it will be as long as this, but maybe we, tap it onto the beginning of a commission meeting that's not heavy with stuff, and maybe, form out an hour to have that
Absolutely,
conversation, because there are definitely more residents that come to the commission meetings on a regular basis as opposed to a workshop. And so I think that would be, I think we would gain more input and feedback and have more participation if we incorporate it in a commission meeting rather than having a workshop.
Absolutely. So I just want to repeat to make sure that everyone understands. So what we'll do is we will take your feedback, we will formalize a document, a strike through and underline. We will distribute that to the commission, let's say 3 weeks ahead of a discussion item to get input at that discussion item. We will review the input we received today and the changes we've made, and leave mostly open time for you all to discuss anything that's open. And then following that, it'll be put on the agenda for a transmittal hearing.
Perfect. Commissioner Cruz, you good with that? Do you have anything else? Okay, staff, do you guys have anything else? All right, we're going to move forward with public comment. As always, it is 3 minutes per person. It is non-transferable, and this is not a Q&A. Same rules as always apply. The speaker must address the commission as a whole and not to any individual on the dais or in the audience. Insults, personal attacks, and disruptions will not be tolerated, and you'll be asked to leave should you violate these rules. After we have concluded those in person, we will go to those that are online. I just ask for everyone in the audience to keep this focused on the comprehensive plan for tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. I wish you had allowed us to speak in between each chapter, because there's no way to get through all of this in 3 minutes. So I will be making, I guess, my entire list public on Facebook, since I'm not allowed to email anyone. So I'm going to start out with, we need more kinetic art. I saw no focus on art, and we are an art city. We are one of the old original art cities, and there's nothing in here on that. There's nothing in here mentioning our historic planner that we are required by state ordinance, law, whatever it is, that somebody signs off on every single year saying we have one. We haven't had one in years. That's not in here either. I think we need to be looking at enforcing the tree ordinance. I think we have some great ideas, lots of great green stuff, but you're not even enforcing the tree ordinance that's been in effect for almost a year now. Let's make that happen. I think we need to look at upgrading the quality of the city, because I think that goes hand in hand with this. It's the ordinances that we're finally starting to enforce, but adding in the green space, stuff like, and adding some of these components will improve the quality, which improves the property values, which of course brings in the taxes. You guys mentioned in here about sidewalks. We just had all this discussion on sidewalks and the parking ordinance. Sidewalks are the worst things in the world. The last thing you want is sidewalks in the middle of neighborhoods. They are completely appropriate on major streets, but inside the neighborhoods, then you have parking problems, and then you're an inch over, and people are getting fined under state ADA, and it's nothing but problems. And you have to maintain them. They're city sidewalks the city has to maintain, and the residents don't actually want them in their yards. So maybe we want to look at taking some of those out. As you were talking about the traffic problems, I went and looked up the official name of what I keep trying to explain to you guys. They're called chicanes, or they're similar to a pinch point or a chalk, where they also called chalkers. On the official planning stuff I saw on our friend Google. Also, like, maybe look at doing more roundabouts. Let's start looking at ways to keep the traffic moving, but still slow it down and make it livable. And I would look at those chicanes. They're very effective all over West Palm Beach. They're in Delray Beach. They're all over the world. So I'm obviously going to run out of time, so I think I'll come up with one or two more things and then put the rest public. I think we need to get rid of the nodes, and I think we need to look at our tree ordinances more closely. Get rid of the palms. They're not trees, they're grass, and they're in bloom right now. So everyone's allergies are set off everywhere because almost everyone's allergic to a palm tree. And look at getting rid of the Norfolk Island pines, which cause massive damages during storms. And I'll put the rest on public. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Ma'am, come on.
I'm concerned about a lot of the noise. Oh, Terry Pauley, yes. I'm concerned about a lot of the noise. I only live about 4 blocks off of 95, and now since all that has been cleared, the noise is so intense now, where before I couldn't hear it. Just during rush hour. Now it's bad. And also, since we've had all this building, I understand that, but the noise level has increased so much in the 6 years that I've lived here. And it's, I think, due to what's going on with 95, and I don't know if anything is being addressed to contain that. And also that you can hear the trains now. You used to never be able to hear the trains. And I think it's because of all the things that are being cut down, and then we have, these buildings coming up, and buildings do not absorb like, nature does. Also, I didn't put that I wanted a lot of landscaping because most likely there's going to be planted things that don't even belong here and that have to be watered intensely. And I'd also like to know, when are they going to start doing water restrictions? I've lived in a lot of places. I'm an ex-military spouse, and I've just never seen the waste of water that I do here, watering grass, watering all the common areas. It's absolutely horrible considering the state that we are in and the fact that no one even addresses it. So that's a lot of my issue. And also, when they showed homes, there was no homes showing like right here, 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. They were all like new stuff. I live in a house that's from 1955. And I don't see any of that. I don't really feel like things are being addressed to the actual people that live here. The real people. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to online. Is there anybody online, Commissioner Kelly?
Vice Mayor, there's nobody online.
Okay, perfect. Does anyone have any closing comments, concerns? Ma'am, this isn't a Q&A, but I'm more than happy to have staff get with you after the meeting. Thank you. I just have one closing comment. When it comes to looking at opportunities for single-family homes, whether they're renovating their homes, looking at like what are the most common like obstacles that we run into that prevent passing inspections, maybe costly, that aren't really structurally necessary, but more aesthetically required by the city. So maybe I brought this up before. I just want to incorporate looking at those codes to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be not just business friendly, but homeowner friendly, and making sure that if someone wants to improve their property, that they're not forced to get a certain type of something that is more expensive just because of personal preference. I like to look at things, from an operational perspective on what's necessary, and as we move forward with this property tax discussion amongst the state and, the affordability issue that we're seeing nationwide, I just want to make sure that we're planning ahead to alleviate whatever we can in our code and our LDRs and this comprehensive plan for our homeowners.
Absolutely. We can, obviously, the code kind of review is outside of this comprehensive plan, but one of the things that we can add in here in economic development is, programs and a review of code that can allow affordability and renovations to happen easier, or streamlining processes, streamlining codes. Those are economic development initiatives that we can put into the comprehensive plan.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Does staff have anything else? All right, thank you, everybody. Do you have something? You look like you're about to, okay. All right. If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. With no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned at 7:16 PM.
Thank you, everyone.